Hey kids, welcome to the garage. It's Dad here, and welcome to the first episode of my patron-only series, which I'm kind of repurposing. For those of you who have been around, In the Garage was kind of an interview-style series that I started for the channel. I wanted to interview, like, game devs and stuff like that, and just, like, talk shop about the creation process, you know, just things along those lines, right? Just wanted to highlight indie creators and anybody I could talk to. Sort of had grandiose ideas about it, but yeah, as time went on and I did two interviews. I interviewed David Zemansky and I interviewed Ozreek, the developer of Viscera Fest, and after about 2-3 weeks of preparations for these interviews and then spending the 48 hours before each interview just being incredibly anxious and anxiety ridden and stressed out, I wanted to interview Zach Murphy of Reload Magazine, and I thought about reaching out, and every time I started to go and do so, I froze up with anxiety, and I realized that as much as I like the idea of talking shop in the form of an interview, it's not really not in my constitution. It's just not something that I have the ability to do without being incredibly stressed out about it. So, anyways, that's a very long intro to say In the Garage is now here to talk about early access games that are still in early access and the content that they've produced. And today, as you can see on your screen, it's Incision. We're talking about Incision, which is a game that I have been looking forward to for a really long time, since the first mention of it at Realms Deep, I think, which is 2021. I've been following the developer Smoothbrain on Twitter, watching all the updates. I played the demo that came out. It wasn't during Next Fest, it was a little bit before that. What's the first demo? During fucking, during that Realms Deep? I'm not sure. But anyways, yeah, we're here to talk about it. Now, one thing that I do want to say about this series, about the In the Garage series that we're going to be doing, which is, again, patron exclusive and just for you guys, is going to be a little less scripted, more off the cuff, kind of like podcast style. It's still, you know, I'm sure there'll be some edits in there. It'll be minimal editing, but it'll be mostly just like me rambling. I've got some notes here. I'm just going to, you know, talk shop. You know, it's in the garage because it's still being worked on. They're working on that car. They're under the hood. I would have chosen Under the Hood, but that's a Batman comic, so, you know, fucking... But anyways, so the setup with Incision here is, the story is, it's somewhere in some kind of, like, apocalyptic timeline, something called the Growth, which is this fleshy, meaty sort of plague virus thing that has kind of, like, conjoined humans and machines into a weird sort of fleshy monstrosity, and it's spreading throughout the entire world. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Virus from, I think it was 1998 with Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Sutherland. It was about an alien virus that turned flesh into machinery, and that's kind of the vibe that I got from the story set up here. There's a lot of Lovecraftian eldritch influences going on. We've got some great enemy designs. We've got these weird spider things that crawl upside down, kind of Linda Blair Exorcist style. You've got, you know, your standard issue grunts that shoot machine guns, but they've got like the cool backpacks that shoots green energy. You've got these guys in like big hooded trench coats that carry around axes and throw flaming chainsaws at you. There's also, it's a fucking, they're called spider popes, and they are essentially the Vors of this game. They throw homing missile attacks at you. They're spider popes, and I fucking love that. I'm not even gonna try and like build up any suspense as to how I feel about this game in early access so far. Incision is wonderful. This game so far is one of the most visceral, intense, and not to overuse a word already, but anxiety-inducing experiences. Like, I streamed it on Twitch. It was my first stream on Twitch ever, which is now lost to time because I didn't realize you have to actually select something to save your streams on there after you're done streaming. But I called it an anxiety simulator, which is what this is. So the gist is that there are no saves. You do not get checkpoints. You do not get to manually save. You only save when you enter a level and after you have left a level. The game's design is such that you are going to go through each level in one run. It's got kind of a Dark Souls-ish sort of difficulty curve in that respect, in that it's like expecting you pay attention to your surroundings, play well, be careful, but also be aggressive. Now, one thing that does help you get through these levels is that the game has a lives system. It's very similar to Doom Eternal in that you find an extra life, and so if you die, you immediately are zapped right back into place. You're good to go. You haven't lost any steps. When you lose a life in this game, the game goes into slow motion for a few seconds, which gives you a chance to kind of recoup yourself. You can take out some enemies that are around you, and then you get about 75% of your health back, which is something that they already updated in the first patch for the game. It was originally 50% health. You got 50% of your maximum health back whenever you lost a life, and they upped it to 75%, which I appreciate. Now, it was definitely doable before. The game is definitely no slouch in the difficulty department, and it was definitely doable before they upped it to 75%. But man, I gotta tell you, it definitely makes a welcome difference. You're gonna probably see in this footage that at any given time, I've got at least 1 or 2 lives down there in the lower left corner. At least 1 or 2 lives at any given time. But that never felt like much of a safety net. Because this game is very tough. It's not punishing tough, but it is very tough. There's like enemies do a lot of damage, especially on the difficulty I was playing, which is essentially kind of like ultra violence. I don't remember the name of the setting. It's the second highest difficulty setting that I was playing on. And at first when I started playing it, I thought there's no fucking way I'm going to do this, because it's hard. Enemies hit hard. Your weapons hit them hard, but they hit you hard. You lose lives quickly. If you are not moving constantly, you are going, in fact, to just die. You are just going to become meat sauce. One of the things, though, that I do appreciate about the difficulty in the game is that while you can select individual difficulty settings that sets it at a certain, like, this is what this difficulty setting is, you do have a couple of sliders. So you can sort of like make your own custom difficulty. And the sliders are how much damage enemies do. And I think it's like the speed of the enemy projectiles. So you can sort of like customize your own sort of fucking difficulty there. And make your own experience out of this game. But even on such like, I don't know, second highest difficulty, like I was moving. I was hustling. I was sweating. I could feel the tension in the back of my neck at all times, but it felt very fair. It felt very much like I was in control, and that's because of the control scheme in this game. One thing that I think probably so far my only criticism in the game is that I'm not a big fan of the movement speed. But that's also something that's a trend amongst modern retro shooters, is that a lot of these modern retro shooters will give you a very intensely fast movement scheme with no shift key for the option of choosing to run when you want to run. You're just constantly always running. Something that I've seen in like Forgive Me Father, Viscera Fest kind of does that as well. Although I haven't tried it out yet, but I think Viscera Fest now has a run option. So that's really neat, but that's off topic. So let's stay on topic here. Now the thing with Incision is that it does have a very fast movement speed. So it feels like I'm tapping the button and I'm moving super fast. But it also has a shift to run option. So not only do you have 2 movement speeds, you have pretty damn fast and you have incredibly fucking fast, which is honestly really cool. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm normally kind of a critic of like, hey, don't force me to move so fast. Let me have a more measured pace. But this game, you have so much control over the character that you play as. The air controls are exquisite, absolutely precise. You can jump up in the air and be at a complete standstill. Like if you're moving in the middle of the air, like if you've got momentum going, right? You jump and you're moving forward. If you stop holding that movement button in midair, you immediately stop. You stop in midair. You can turn on a dime, you can strafe in midair, you can move forward, backward, whatever. The air control is so fucking impeccable that even in the most chaotic of situations I had in this game, I could confidently jump, air control myself, and navigate around these enemies, which is absolutely essential because, as I said already, they hit really fucking hard. But there's also the double jump that your character has. And the cool thing about the double jump, which I didn't discover until late into the gameplay, is that if you hold down the second jump, you will actually hang in the air. You'll actually do kind of like a little float through the air on your second jump for just a brief period of time. I think it's like maybe 1 second, 2 seconds or something. But that makes a huge fucking difference. The controls in this game are so fluid, so smooth, and so precise that it was just an absolute joy to play this game. Like, I was fucking stressed out as shit during some of this, but I was so in control and I felt so just dialed in, and it was so fucking joyful and wonderful to play this game that, like, I cruised through this. But even still, even saying that I cruised through it, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a short batch of content. No, this took me about 4 hours, 3.5 and a little change to get through all of it. So levels are really quite big. I think I averaged about 20 to 25 minutes per level, with the exception of the boss levels that are in the game. They're big. These are big levels. So that also contributes to the feeling of, oh shit, I could die at any time. In that you're going for a while. You're going through some pretty large levels, but the game, I don't feel like it either A, overstays its welcome, or B, stretches it out too far and stresses you out too much in the sense of like, okay, I've kind of been running for a while here. If I die and I lose all this progress, this is going to be incredibly frustrating. Now, part of the fact that I feel that way is due to the weaponry. Once I got the hang of the weapons, earlier I mentioned that I wasn't sure that I could do this game. I wasn't sure that I could play this game on the difficulty I wanted to play it on. Once I figured out the weapons, I totally felt more confident in my ability to do so, because the weapons are powerful and versatile. You start off with a Magnum revolver, which Smoothbrain has said out loud it's pretty OP. He only nerfed it slightly by making it the only weapon in the game that you have to reload. If you didn't have to reload the Magnum, it would definitely be super fucking overpowered. The Magnum has an alternate fire mode where you twirl it like a gunslinger, and at one point during the twirling, it will flash briefly. And if you fire it during that flash, that will one-hit kill pretty much all the like lesser enemies in the game. Even the turrets, I think. I think he updated it to one-hit kill the turrets as well. But you've also got your quad-barrel shotgun, which, you know, you can fire like a regular shotgun. Alt-fire releases, I think it's 4 quick shots in rapid succession. You've got a great machine gun with a grenade alt-fire. The grenade alt-fire on the machine gun, though, is less of a standard operating exploding grenade, and it's more of like a firebomb. So while it doesn't do an incredible amount of explosive damage, what it does is it sets things on fire that does damage over time, helps chip away at them so that you can use other weapons as well, which is great. All of the weapons in this game really hit the spot for me. And there's no real shortage of ammunition that they throw at you, which again is part of why the difficulty of this game and the demand of the game saying go through each level in one go, I didn't mind, because they're like, here is ammunition, here are extra lives here in the, sorry, I totally burped. I tried not to. Hey, this is unscripted. This is just straight dad talk. But you get weapons, you get lives, you get ammunition. You are totally stacked and ready to go. And there is definitely a visceral, thrilling sort of power fantasy aspect to Incision, but you are constantly in danger. All it takes is one wrong move, and you've suddenly lost a life, and you're like, God, oh my God, I just lost a life. I gotta fucking, buckle up and get my shit together now, because if I lose another life, then I won't have any lives to back me up, and then if I die then I have to start this whole fucking thing over. The game doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't necessarily give you like a parachute, but it stocks you up and goes, you can do this shit. It's almost like confidence building, where a game like Dark Souls is much slower and refuses to hold your hand and gives you kind of like no buffer, and you just have to learn, and you have to go through all of that, with your bonfires and checkpoints and everything. Incision, in not having any save points and not having any checkpoints, opts instead to give you the power to get through these levels. Like, I generally, in most FPS titles, I usually shy away from using lots of explosive weapons just casually, because I'm like, well, I want to save this for whatever enemies I might need them for, whatever bigger enemies I might need, say, the fucking chain gun or the rocket launcher for. Incision makes sure that you've got plenty of ammo at all times so that you can utilize the variety of weapons. I was using the rocket launcher left and right because I could, and that got me out of so many scrapes because I actually felt like I could utilize the option of using heavier weaponry without feeling like I'm wasting the ammo on just casual enemy types. This game is sick. This game is awesome. It's deeply unsettling as well. One of the other grabs about the game is that they've got these little points of interest. So if you see a little glowing spot, what you do is you walk up to it, you just face it for a second, and it'll kind of zoom in and then give you a little bit of story, a little bit of lore. Like, you can easily walk past them if that's just not your thing. You don't have to stop and get the lore explained to you. But it's cool because it explains certain things so that when other aspects of the game pop up, little visual cues pop up, you suddenly get that little tingle in the back of your neck, like, oh, wait, they were talking about this like a minute ago, so I kind of know what this means and what's coming up. And it's very fucking cool. The ending levels, I think the last level and a half, no, the last 2 levels of the early access content so far are deeply Lovecraftian, deeply eldritch. A lot of like blasphemous, heretical imagery that kind of combines like, elder god lore and almost sort of like a not Catholic sort of church imagery, but there's definitely like that old-timey religion, that revival type religion, and it's very effective. It is very, very effective. I can't praise this game enough, like there's part of me that is like, there's got to be something, man. There's got to be some like sort of criticism here. And I gave my one criticism, which is it moves a little quickly. But even still, like, once you get into that, once you get used to that, and you understand the precision of control that you have over the game, plus like the run speed is, it's not, I don't know, it's not that bad. I'm definitely the type of person who's like, I want to have much more control over my movement speed than most modern retro shooters give me. And this one, like, even though it moves real fast just as a general walk speed, you still have control over your run speed, and you're gonna appreciate the speed of movement. You're definitely going to appreciate the speed of movement in this game. Between the air control, between the running controls, and the way that the weapons work, and the way the level design is outstanding. There's multi-tiered, lots of verticality. You're going to be doing a lot of backtracking, running back and forth. Sometimes you'll start in one spot, and that'll be the same spot that you end at, because you just end up running back and forth from one end and all the way back to the start. The visuals are great, it's not just your standard issue. We've got low poly count, we've got crunchy, low res textures that are going on. This is a very intentional art style and aesthetic. It's very industrial. I'm getting a whole. This is like 1994 grunge industrial music. This is the video game that was that is meant to accompany like the Downward Spiral, for example. Which makes sense because the score is composed by I Music, who is heavily influenced by Nine Inch Nails and Trent Reznor. So to that extent, this is a great game. This is a fantastic fucking game, and I wish that I could praise it more without it feeling like hyperbole. But the truth of the matter is that so far what I've experienced from Incision, graphically, mechanically, aesthetically, this is shaping up to be not just like a game that I find incredibly special. This is shaping up to be something that is going to be outstanding in the community of first-person shooters in general. Like, I cannot praise this game enough. Plus, like, your melee weapon is a bladed pinwheel staff that you can either swing and chop people up with, or you can spin it like a buzzsaw, which is incredibly fucking cool. I love the aesthetic here. I love the discordant music. I love the weapons. The control scheme was so smooth, so fucking on point. This is like, from a design perspective, this is a game that feels like it was meant for me. But also from a gameplay perspective, this feels like a standout title. This feels like a step forward in the game design of first-person shooters, where we are actually taking the difficulty of these games into consideration, and we're not just copy pasting and doing something, we're doing something, one little thing different, and so that's why it stands. Like, no, this is like, your mission is to get through a level. You have to survive. You are given all the tools, you are given the means, and then it's up to you. And it's not easy. It is definitely not easy, and I can't, like, normally I would be like, I don't get down on the whole Soulsborne-esque get good mindset, but this is challenging. It forces me to think. It forces me to stay on top of my game, to push forward, and you hit the end of a level, and it is one of the most visceral, one of the most thrilling, and one of the just most like fist-pumpingly victorious feelings that I've ever had playing one of these first-person shooters. I'm giving Incision so far a 10 out of 10. This is wild. I knew it was going to be something that I would be interested in. I knew it was going to be something that I was going to want to play more of, but I was not expecting it to be this good. And it just, this is a treat. This is absolutely a must play. Do not miss. Keep your eyes on this game as it goes through early access and develops and evolves. This so far is a 10 out of 10. This shooter is really hitting all the buttons, and you go play it. Please make sure you go play this game. That's gonna do it for now. This has been Dad sitting down with you in the garage talking about an early access game that I've been playing. I'm gonna be doing this for any other early access games, like any other major content that releases for early access games that I've been playing up until they hit full release. When they hit full release, then I'll do a full actual review video on the entirety of the game. Put that out on YouTube for the public and everybody to see. But for now, whenever there's anything here for Talking Shop, it's going to be for just us kids in the Patreon garage. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for listening to me ramble on. I hope that you have enjoyed this. I hope that you see this game and you hear my thoughts on it, and I hope that you find something out of this. I hope that you go play this game. I just hope you go play this game, because it really is a standout title. Like, everybody's concerned about whether or not there's too many retro shooters coming out, and this one definitely takes the genre and elevates it slightly and pushes it in a new direction and goes, we're not just going to be complacent. We're going to do something cool and interesting and different and unique. And I really appreciated that about it. So thank you all so much for hanging out. I will be hopefully bringing more content. It's almost spooky month. I'm going to be playing Proteus and Nightmare of Decay, and I really hope I can get a review of Scorn done by the time Halloween hits, because it comes out on the 21st, and then Halloween is 31st, so that gives me 10 days to play the game and flip a video. Yay! We'll see how it goes. Stay hydrated, stay safe out there. I'll see you next time, kids.